Fearless Pioneer.
Yo, what's going on guys? EJ here, bringing another Lord of the Rings Rise of the War video. Today guys, I've got a tier list commander video for you for the good side. This is going to be solely based on commanders, based on the new PBE style, which is going to be the new version 2.0 on the formation system and how all the commander skills have changed. So we're going to be doing a tier ranking of every single commander on the good side. Now this is going to be based on a lot of things from their ability in PvP, from their skills on paper, and how they perform not only as an individual, but as a team in a formation, because we now know that formations are going to be 4 commanders in a battle, and so there has to be that synergy there. I've been using all these commanders a lot in battle and stuff in the PvE, testing them out, so it's going to be very based on a lot of information from battles that I've been doing. Now remember, this is my full-on opinion, but I feel like this is going to be very accurate. So yeah, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We're going to be going through and tiering all of these commanders, and I might be doing the evil side as well, but I need to do a bit more information and research and that on that so far. But yeah, I have taken about 5 days or so researching this and stuff like that, so let's get into it, shall we? So I think there's 38 good side commanders here. So we're going to go through the list and everything. We're going to talk about each one, and then we're going to place them. And basically, it's going to go from left to right, and then top to bottom. So obviously, God mode at the top, terrible at the bottom. And the further they're to the left, or the closer they're to like the colored box, the better they are in that actual tier. So that's how it's going to work. So we're just going to go in the order that we got them here, which I've placed them in. So our first commander here is going to be Isildur. Now Isildur is very good. He has lots of skills that not only increase the attack of multiple armies in the formation, he also has huge defense buffs, and he also has the ability of 50% chance of doing follow-up each round with men or evil men units in his formation. So he is very good. So we're going to place Isildur at the moment up into the S+ meta section. Moving up next, we have Gandalf the White. Now Gandalf the White is really good. He still is one of the commanders that keep the ability of White Council. Even though you will not use that with him, he has 2 skills that do very good focus damage to multiple armies in a formation. I have seen him do really good focus damage, and he is up there, probably the best focus commander in the game. I will be placing him up in the meta section above Isildur. Yes, I think that he is better than Isildur. So if I just place him here and then slide him across, like so, you'll see that he is an S+ meta commander, and he is higher tiered than Isildur. Okay, Gandalf the Grey. Now Gandalf the Grey still has the Grey, which is a healing ability, which is pretty good. And compared to other commanders like Galadriel and stuff like that, he just doesn't reach the par. I think at best he is a great commander. Like, he's a really good supporting commander to be put in the 3rd section of your formation. So at the moment, I think we're going to put Gandalf the Grey in the great section. Like, he's definitely way better than good. If you have any of the commander gear as well, it does make a huge difference, but I'm not taking that fully into consideration as well, just because a lot of people would not have that. Alright, the next one, the big boy, Dain. So at the moment, a lot of people probably heard about Dain. He is absolutely fantastic because he has all of his skills are really good, but he has 3 commander damage skills that do incredible damage, like Durin's Blood that can do 700% damage, not only once but twice. And so he has 3 attacks that can attack the enemy's formations either once or twice, or even up to 3 times, which is absolutely crazy. So we're going to be putting Dain up in the top spot at S++ God mode. I don't think anyone of the other commanders are going to beat him, but yeah, he's way up the top there. Next, guys, we have is Theoden. Now, Theoden is really good. He has all of his skills that work really good with him. So he has 3 skills which all work in synergy with mounted units. So this is where he's going to really shine. If you make a full mounted formation, he's going to really shine there. He's got really good skills that like increase the amount of damage that can be done by mounted units, for example. He also has one skill called the Renewed, which his formation is going to do a huge damage reduction, so it's really good as well. I think that he is really good and up in the OP section as a commander. As an individual and a mixed, not the best, but as a unit or a synergy of full mounted unit formation, he is going to be an OP commander, so he has to be used to his strengths. Next, guys, we have is Boromir. Now, Boromir is actually fantastic now in the new version 2.0 PBE, and basically, he has got some really good skills that are going to not only increase the attack of multiple formations in that one formation. Now, he also has the skill of Warden, which I'll explain this because a couple of commanders have this. So 3 allied formations gain a 50% chance to evade damage taken once every 2 hits. That is super good, guys. As well, his skills that increases the amount of attack. Like, for example, I think it's called Horde of Gondor. It increases the attack of all 4 formations when fully leveled up to 10. So that is really good. And it also has like level 5 effects of attack plus 5. He also has abilities to increase the amount of defense in that as well. With his hair, which is really good, up to 10 stacks. So he is a super OP commander and is very good as a supporting commander. And he's going to be placed up into the OP section above Theoden because he works in any sort of formation. He is a really good commander there. Okay, our next commander is going to be Eowyn. Now, she is pretty good. She has to be used in a mounted unit in a formation as such. She is pretty good like that. She has pretty much the same kind of skills as Theoden, but not as good. And she is more of a supporting commander. You wouldn't be putting her up in a leading role. So I'm going to place her in the good section as of the moment. Okay, next we have Eomer, who is really good. He has some really good skills that do some really good commander damage, as well as some supporting skills that are going to help in a mounted unit. Now, he doesn't have to be using a mounted unit, but it's going to work really well. But because of his amazing commander skill damage, he has to be used in the first or second slot of the formation. You're going to be seeing him do a lot of damage. I think that he is definitely an OP commander, and I'm going to currently slot him up just above Theoden in the OP section. Moving on, we have Gil-Galad next, who is absolutely fantastic because he's going to be doing things like increasing the amount of defense that your elves have, as well as evading. He works very good in a full synergy formation of elves, so keep that in mind. So if you are going to be running a full elven formation, Gil-Galad is probably your absolute #1 pick that you want to be using. I think that he is an absolute god tier commander. Like, he's evade, and in a full synergy of elves, he is going to be absolutely fantastic because not that evade is going to be affecting multiple formations in that one formation. And if you're using those elven units, yeah, it's going to be super strong. So we're putting him up in the god mode. Not as good as Dain, because Dain can be used anywhere, but as a synergy of elven formation, you want to be placing Gil-Galad up in the god mode. Next, guys, we have is King Aragorn. Now, King Aragorn is quite decent. He has some pretty good physical damage moves, as well as a little bit of healing. He is a pretty good all-round commander, so we're not going to muck around too much with him. He's definitely not OP in that, but I would definitely put him up in the great section as of the moment, and he is definitely a better commander than Gandalf the Grey, because, yeah, he does do some pretty good attack and stuff like that. Alright, Galadriel. Okay, Galadriel is really good. She has some really good skills. So she has 2 skills that can do a lot of healing. But I feel like in the PvP, which I've been using, the best way to go is to use her focus and madness abilities. And she is going to be really good. I've found out if you have her really good and you have her unique gear and stuff like that, you want to be running her in as your leader or second slot in your formation. That's where she's going to be doing the most amount of damage. She works really good in an elven formation as well, but it doesn't have to be run like that. She can also be ran in a formation where there's a lot of focus damage commanders or just commander damage commanders in such. So I think that she is definitely an OP commander. I would place her above I would place her, if in a full synergy, in the OP section above Eomer in that, because she can be versatile and work in a mixed formation as well as a full elf all commander damage formation, and she does some really good damage. So I'm going to place her up in the OP section between Boromir and Eomer at the moment. Okay, Radagast has some really good healing, but as we know, healing is not the best in the game at the moment. Like, I've done a lot of tests where I've used a lot of healing commanders and stuff. Now, if you put him in the perfect section, third section of the formation, which is the best support role, and you're using all these healing abilities, it's going to help heal your commanders a lot. But still, overall, healing is not powerful. Like, I've used a full healing squad in my entire formation and only done like 60 to 80,000 healing, where you're still going to be taking like 300 to 400,000 damage. So he's good but not terrible. So I'm going to be placing him in the good section at the moment, below Eowyn. Alright, next guys we have is Elrond. Now Elrond is absolutely fantastic. He works really good in the Elven kind of unit formation, in the full synergy of Elven units. He has things like the ability of follow-up, not only for himself, but for another army in that formation as well. He's going to be buffing Elven units as well. He is really good, very strong. I think he is a meta commander, and I would be placing him all the way up above Gandalf the White and Isildur. I think if he's used in the correct, he has to be used in a formation of elves, but if he is in his prime spot, he is absolutely fantastic and a full-on meta-strong commander. Moving on, we have King of the Dead. Now, King of the Dead is actually really good now. He has some really good skills. His best skill that stands out is going to be doing over 500% focus damage to multiple formations. It does a lot of focus damage, and for that, I'm going to be placing him up in the OP section. I don't think he is as good as any of the four that we have there as an individual, but as an individual, he does do a lot of focus damage. And if you do place him in a formation, for example, with Gandalf the White and Galadriel, and go with a focus damage commander kind of build, he can be quite OP. So for that reasoning, we're placing him up in the OP section. Okay guys, so next we have Thorin. Now, unfortunately, Thorin has been nerfed a lot. Now, he does have some physical damage, but it's only going to be done against one formation. He does have his R5 ability that does attack 3, but the amount of damage, I think, only goes up to around 200%, so it's nowhere near as good. He does buff the defense of dwarves, so if he is used in a full-on dwarf unit, he could be a pretty good supportive commander with a little bit of damage, but unfortunately, he's nowhere near as good as he used to be. And for that reason, we're going to be placing him in the good section. But I think he is better than a healing commander, which is unfortunate for Radagast. So I'm going to place him up in the good section at the moment in the second position in between Eowyn and Radagast. Because he still does a lot better than the healing commanders. But I think he is a good position right there at the moment in a good role. He still can be good. Okay, moving on next, we have Treebeard. Now, Treebeard can do some insane physical damage, but it does have some drawbacks. He can buff a lot of focus in that, so he can be a good supportive commander, definitely not a leader. So he can work really good when working with like Gandalf the Grey, King of the Dead and that, to buff your other formations' focus damage and that, so he can be really good in that sense. So I think he is a good level commander, so we're going to place him up just above Radagast at the moment, and in between. Actually, I think he's probably even better than Thorin, to be honest. As a supportive commander, if he's used in the right detail, he can buff the amount of focus damage really good. Where poor old Thorin, he's just, as an individual, he's not that good. But yeah, But Treebeard can work quite well in multiple formations, and for that reason, I'm going to place him a little bit higher up in the good tier. Alright guys, next we have Cirdan. Now, he is absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to muck around. He's going straight up into the second position of God mode. Now, he's going to work really good in any formation, but with the Elven units, it's going to be fantastic. Now, he has multiple skills, which are going to do multiple amounts of healing, as well as his Teleri ability, which is going to affect multiple elven units and give it the chance to increase attack each round. He also has his R5 ability, which is absolutely crazy, which can give the ability of giving, for the first, I think it is 4 rounds, sorry, the first 5 rounds, 3 allied formations have a chance up to, I believe, 60% of gaining either follow-up, evade, or pursuit, or removing a debuff, which is absolutely crazy. And so, yeah, it's going to work really good. It's affecting, for the first 5 rounds, those 3 formations in that one formation. So it is super OP, guys. Next we have is Faramir. Now, Faramir is actually quite good. A lot of his skills do the rush ability, so it's going to be doing a lot of physical damage. And for that sense, he is quite good. I'd place him up as a great commander, and with the commanders that we currently have, I would actually place him above all of those, so I'm going to put him up in the top tier of great at the moment. Next we have is Gimli. Now, Gimli is also really good. He has 3 abilities that do physical damage that can be done to multiple formations. He is not on the tier of Dain, because Dain does have the ability of doing a lot of things like stopping healing and stuff like that. But as a really good Dwarven commander, he can be used in the first or second slot of the formation. I would definitely place him up in the OP section, and I would be placing him up in the top section of OP above Boromir, because he can be used very well and does a lot of commander damage. Next we have Dwalin, that does have a bit of commander damage, but he now is more of a supporting commander. He definitely can't do the amount of damage that we've seen with a lot of the other commanders. I'm going to be placing him in the good section. I think that he is a lot better than a healer like Radagast and that. And I think that, to be honest, he may even be better than Thorin at the moment, because Thorin unfortunately doesn't have some of the abilities of doing the amount of damage that he can be doing. So I'm going to place him in the good section there. Next we have Balin, who's okay. He can do some healing and stuff like that, and he does have Durin's blood and stuff like that. He's going to go around about the same kind of section as Dwalin. I'm going to put him just in between and put him right there in the middle. I think he is definitely... I'm trying to think if Thorin's a bit better than him. Thorin can do the ability, but he does have Durin's blood, which does a lot of damage, so we're going to place him there, I think. I think he's better than Thorin. Unfortunately, as a tier 3, it kind of sucks to see Thorin getting put so far behind. Alright guys, next we have Merry and Pippin. Now, Merry and Pippin, as a supportive commander, can work really good in any formation. Now, this skill, which actually, sorry, is called War Chant, my bad. I don't know why it was called War Cry for some reason. But it increases for every single army in your formation at full level. It increases your attack plus 30. It does decrease by 1/3 each round, but in the first rounds you're going to be doing crazy amount of damage, as well as paired with his Hobbit Adventurer, which is going to increase the amount of defense for your men, elves, dwarves, and hobbits in 2 allied formations. Up to, I think it's 12 is really good. And at max level, it is going to affect all 4 formations. So he's a super good supportive commander. And for that reason, he's going to be placed up in the OP section as a really good supportive commander. I'm going to place him up just above and in between Theoden and King of the Dead. Alright, coming next we have is Falgin. Now, Falgin is actually really good if used in the correct sense of how good he is. Now, he is going to be a really good Dwarven unit supportive commander. In the 3rd or 4th slot of your formation, his skills he can do a little bit of commander damage, but he is basically there to be buffing all of your Dwarven units. He can do crazy amounts of defense buffs for Dwarven units. So used in the correct sense, he is going to be a really good great level commander. And I'm going to be placing him right up, just in between Faramir and King Aragorn, guys. So he has to be used in the correct formation, but once he's used in that formation of the full Dwarven units, he can be an absolute great supportive commander. Next, guys, we have Elrohir. Now, Elrohir is pretty decent. He does have the War Chant that we talked about as well, plus the half-elven skill, which increases the attack of the commander's men and elves formations plus 6 and their defense plus 6. That's at like at a level 5, so I think it goes up to like plus 12 when it's max leveled out. it also has the effects of increasing the unit attack of men and elves +3, and the unit defense of men and elves +3 as well at max level 10. So he is really good as a elven unit commander, and using that full synergy of elves, he is going to be very strong. And for that reason, I think that he is great, and he's going to be put up in the section of, I think, up in great, even above Faramir, because he has that war chant, which is absolutely fantastic and works really good with elven units. Okay, next, guys, we have Hirgon. Now, he does have Warden that we have seen with Boromir, but unfortunately, his other skills are just basically physical damage that may attack 1 or 2 formations. He does have a little bit of healing, so he does have the Warden that does help him out a lot, but for that reason, I will be placing him in the good tier. Now, I do think that he is a lot better than a lot of the other commanders that are in the good section, so I will be placing him up here, I think in between, right here, in between Treebeard and Dwalin. He can be quite decent. He does do a little bit of physical damage, but that Warden skill with the evade is just absolutely OP, which helps put him up the section a lot. Now, our first commander that we have here is Ori. Now, he's another dwarf commander, kind of the same kind of skills along the lines of Dwalin and stuff like that, but I don't think he's that good. I think he is okay at absolute best, so I'm going to place him straight into the okay section. Okay, so one of the commanders who just got a recent buff, who's quite decent now, who does a lot of physical damage, is going to be Legolas. Now, because of that buff, I'm going to be placing him straight up into the great section, and I think that he is even better now than Faramir, so I'm going to be placing him up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put him up in the top section of great at the moment, because he can be really good. He can do some good commander damage with his follow-up as well, but he does a lot of damage with his physical formation attacks now, and I think he's absolutely great, so I'm going to place him up in the great section. Next we have is Aragorn. Now, Aragorn is quite decent as well. With some of the commanders that we already have in the great section, I think that he is immediately going to be slotted up into the section. He does do quite a decent amount of damage, as well as some of his skills are really good. I'm going to place him up in between Faramir and Falgin. Okay, next we have is Haldir, guys. Now, his skills work really good on a full synergy of elven unit troops, so he's going to be really good in a formation using Gil-Galad and stuff like that. So he's going to work really good with buffing those elven units. So if he's used in the correct sense, I would be placing him up in the great section. I think he is probably good. I'm going to place him up just in between, I think in between Legolas and Elrohir. I think he's really good. I think he's better than Elrohir, and I'm going to place him right there in the great section. Alright, the next one is Denathor. Now, he could be okay, but a lot of people don't really use him. Now, if you take gear into consideration, which I'm not, he could be decent with gear, but otherwise I'm going to place him straight into the terrible section. Alright, now Imrahil is okay. He can work pretty good in a mounted unit. Otherwise, as a individual commander, not that good. So I'm going to place him in the okay section, but I do think he is better than Ori. Alright, this is going to be a surprising one, guys. So the next one is Beorn. Now, he is very good. He is going straight up into the meta section. I'm going to be putting him even above Isildur. The amount of commander damage that he can do is absolutely fantastic. I've been using him in PvP, testing him out a lot. And I can tell you now, he can do some commander damage, even coming up to the levels of Dain sometimes. So we're going to put him straight up into the meta section, right up there. He's a top tier commander. Alright, Elladan, unfortunately, is not as good as some of the other commanders that we talked about. He does have some good supportive skills, but I think I'm going to slot him up here. Probably, if you use him in the right synergy in a full elven unit in that, he can be okay. So I think that he can be better than the dwarven units, but he's okay. Actually, I think that Dwalin's a little bit better, and even Balin, because they do have them skills. I'm going to place him right here, guys, in between Balin and Thorin. Alright, Thranduil's really good. He can do a lot of healing per the amount of physical damage done, as well as some really good supportive skills for the elves. For that reason, I'm going to be putting him up in the great section, and I think that he's just right up here. I'm going to place him in between. I think a good section would be in between Haldir and Elrohir. I think he's really good up there in the section of great when using a full synergy of elven unit formation. Alright, Frodo and Sam, unfortunately, they can be okay. I don't want to put them terrible because they do have a couple of skills that are alright. So for that reason, I'm just going to slap them up into the tops. I'll put them, actually, they're not as good as Imrahil. I'm going to place them in the okay section. Hey, Celeborn is really good. Now, he has a lot of skills that we're going to talk about real quickly because I do like his skills. So he has skills like the wides that are going to increase amount of defense, attack, and speed. This is going to work on multiple formations. He does have the ability to increase attack on multiple formations up to 2. He has Grey Elf that does have a chance of evade. It's kind of low, so a lot of people won't use that. And his R5 does increase the defense of melee units and attack of ranged units. So he's really, really, really good, guys, when using an Elven full synergy. And for that reason, I'm going to be placing him all the way up in the great section. Just in between Legolas. Actually, I think he's even better than Legolas, to be honest. I'm going to place him right up there in the top tier of great. And then the last one we have here, it is going to be our good old Eowyn. Unfortunately, she's okay now, and I'm going to be placing her probably up in the top section of okay. I'm not going to talk too much about her. There's a lot of things that have happened to her. Now, that's where we're sitting at the moment now. Is while I'm looking at it, there's some changes I do want to make. I feel like, although King of the Dead can do some really good focus damage and work really good there, I feel like certain of the Elven commanders, the top 4 or 5 there, can be a lot better than him when used in the actual formation. So for that reason, I'm actually going to move him down a little bit and move him down to roughly, I feel like, to about this section here in the great, because I feel like these 4 commanders are definitely better. Now, although Legolas can do a lot of physical damage and stuff like that, I'm going to actually move him down to about this section here. I feel like these 3 are the top commanders in the great section when using a full Elven trilogy like that, so in a formation. So I'm going to put Celeborn, Haldir, and Thranduil at the top of great, move Legolas down a little bit, and in that sense we've moved King of the Dead down a bit. I think that Faramir and all that are in really good sections. Everything's looking quite nice, so I like the synergy of everything. So we've got, to wrap it up here, guys, we've got Dain, Theoden, and Gil-Galad in the God mode. They're super good. Your meta commanders are going to be Elrond, Gandalf the White, Beorn, and Isildur. Your top tier OP commanders, you've got Gimli, Boromir, Galadriel, Eomer, Theoden, and a surprising one of Merry and Pippin. Up in your great section, you're going to have Celeborn, Haldir, Thranduil, and then one of the good commanders that have good follow-up and damage of Legolas. And then you got really good focus damage from King of the Dead. You got a really good supportive commander here from Elrohir. And then really good rush damage from your Faramir. And then you've got really good commander of Aragorn. Then you got your really good defensive buff units for your dwarf units of Falgin. And then you've got King Aragorn and probably one of your best supportive commanders of Gandalf the Grey. Then in the good section up the top here, we've got Eowyn here, who works really good in that full synergy that we talked about with your mounted units. Then you got your Treebeard, who's really good at buffing focus as a supportive commander. Then we have Hirgon, of course, has that Warden skill that puts him up a lot. Then you've got your Dwalin and Balin that are pretty good, but yeah, of course, lacking a bit as of the Dwarven units. And they're in the good section because they do work good with Dwarven units as supportive roles. Elladan and Thorin are kind of lacking, but can be okay. Definitely only support only. And then you have Radagast there. He's there because he's a good healing commander, but that's all he really does. And then in the okay section, we've got our commanders of Arwen, Imrahil, who are pretty decent as an okay commander. Definitely we're putting in the 3rd or 4th slot of your formation. And then you have your Frodo and Sam and Ori, who are down in the definite lower tiers. And then you have poor old Denathor, who is absolutely terrible. He can be okay, but he needs insane gear. But as an individual, he doesn't really work that good. So he's going to be placing terrible. So yeah, guys, that is going to be my full-on tier list for the good side. I hope this helped you guys out a lot. I'm going to be doing another video where I'm going to be making formations and showing you some of the best formations. You might have got an example from all of the talking we did today. But we're going to wrap up the video there, guys. So until next time, peace out, EJ's out, and I'll catch you guys later. See yas.
Thousands of the EJU army. Yeah, you guys are legends to me. So